check my folio. Touch grass, open time will pass. Trying to cover my ass, but it feels so over. Whiplash when the shit bounce back. Yeah, we'll run it up fast and we'll be so back again. Can't believe I hit another top blast. Now I'm staring at the bottom of a shot glass. Smash back up the rug, watch it drop fast. Should've known that it would not last. My bags are dumping. Can someone do something? Watching it all burn, but I still feel nothing at all. I don't wanna open my phone. Messages say I told you so. I'm just gonna stay in my room. Hope the blood stops soon. Gonna wish this spot away. Think I got a problem. I'm an addict, but I don't know what to call it. Accumulated, never sold it. Hold the bag, bury me with my wallet. Net worth and a meme coin. Drop the CA like the team joint. Liquidated, drowning my sorrows. I just need 100 bagger by tomorrow. My bags are dumping. Can someone do something? Watching it all burn, but I still feel nothing at all. I don't wanna open my phone. Messages say I told you so. I'm just gonna stay in my room. Hope the blood stops soon. Gonna wish this spot away.
All right. I couldn't pass that one up. I'm sorry. It was too good for today. I hope everybody's having a good one. We got a lot to cover. Again, a little early as usual, about 9 minutes before 7. I'm going to talk about why economic data is actually strong and nobody's talking about the good stuff. I've got a lot of memberships to a lot of different things, and so I try and pass on the knowledge I gain that not your average retail investor receives. A lot of people get fund strapped, but there's a lot of other stuff out there that people don't subscribe to. Anyway, Jackson Hole Symposium, that's going to be all week, but really it's Friday at 10 a.m. when we're going to hear Powell speak. That's the important stuff. Real Donald Trump and Zelensky will be meeting today in D.C. We'll get a peace dividend. I said, will we get a peace dividend in the months ahead? I think we will. We'll probably talk a little bit about what's going on in Russia and why I believe their economy is collapsing and why Putin has no choice but to find peace. He needs to save face and maintain a semblance of strength and adversarialness against the West, but he needs a peace deal. Ethereum, seeing all-time transaction highs, massive short interest, and nobody's fucking looking at it. We'll talk about that too. Bitcoin, and I said the bottom is not far off. This is probably not consensus. There's a few people that are probably talking about it. But maybe this is near the bottom right now, and we just get a wick and then we're done. And then we've got oil dropping, which is great. We've got a lot of stuff that looks really positive. And so we're going to jump into it. Before we do that, though, just a quick beat and surveillance of everything that's out there. Yes, hit the like. Yes, I agree. Please do that. Let me actually zoom in a little bit. I want to be more talkative with chat. Thank you for all the good mornings, guys. All the best to my nephew. Thank you, Todd. I appreciate it, man. He needs it. All right, so fear and greed, just with the stock market, 64 still in greed territory. I think that's interesting because we're seeing a divergence, right? We've got the coin market cap crypto index showing fear and greed in the 56 neutral territory. So again, a decent way into neutral right now. So I would argue that the Bitcoin crypto markets have front run what's coming probably for stocks right now, and that we're near a bottom, and that the treasuries and things like that have taken the hardest hit, front running what was coming. I do believe that's true. Let's look at Truflation. We got 1.97. That's under 2. We like it. We have nothing really in the way of economic data today. China vehicle, or I'm sorry, this is last week actually, but real quickly while I'm here, China vehicle sales, it's interesting. People always talk about those, but if you look, they're on average really not much higher than they've been since like 2015, 2000, or I should say 2016-ish range. So again, there's narratives that are out there that aren't always right, but for this week, we don't have much of anything today. We have the NHAB housing, or NAHB, hopefully I said that right the first time, housing market index today. I don't expect anything too crazy, but I do expect the housing market is picking up. Tomorrow, we have a bunch of other housing-related data, building permits, all the fun stuff, Red Book, all the normal things. And let's keep going here. And then Wednesday, we're getting more mortgage-related data. I don't think there's much else. It's really, I think, going to all be about Jackson Hole this week, at least for the first part of the week. Because we really don't get, and then FOMC minutes, it looks like we're getting those Wednesday. So FOMC, that's pretty much it. We don't have a lot else going on until really Thursday, Friday. So no data. Markets just set to speculate. We'll see how all that turns out. If we look over here, guys, at the Fed Watch tool, we still have an almost 85% chance of a Fed rate cut in September. And right now, JP Morgan's saying at least 5 rate cuts between now and the end of the year. That is a huge fucking number. I think that's too high, but it's out there. We have 0 out of 30 bull market peak indicators triggering. And I want to show this because I made a post about it too. But this is Ethereum. These are the keyword search for Ethereum, right? You could see the 2017 cycle. Looks like it peaked as far as interest in June. And then we had our lower high in December. And then the price peaked somewhere over here. You literally could have just looked at this and said, we're probably near the top, and you would have got it. But then in 2021, May of 2021, we peaked in altcoins a little bit earlier. Again, the peak in interest is usually the sign that things are coming to an end. Because once you have the peak in the interest, it's just a clock counting down. We're nowhere near that for Ethereum right now, guys. We're nowhere near that. It's very important that you understand this. And Bitcoin isn't much different. We'll throw it in here. The count's a little bit different. It might change some of the sizing. But if we look over here, Bitcoin is nothing. Ethereum's finally ticking up. Bitcoin has nothing going on. Let's look at Solana here. This is another one, right? Let's just look at all these real quick. And Solana's non-existent too. We haven't had a fucking cycle yet. We haven't even had one. We've just had slow up and to the right. There is no euphoria. Nothing has happened. So I just want to be clear on that. Yes, excited to buy BMNR. It looks like it's down 6% in pre-market. If I'm reading this number, I got new glasses coming. I'm excited about that. And SBET down 3.7. So SBET not falling as much. I find that interesting. But then we have other stuff like Metaplanet, who bought a bunch more Bitcoin, whose was up 3.93% in the Japanese market, but now in the German market is up over 3%. So I'm going to have to adjust this a little bit here because we had a lower low. There we go. But again, we dropped, how much did we drop? 56%. That's a much more respectable number that actually coincides very closely with the 59% drop we saw in the last big parabolic pump. I would argue that this has been very orderly. This isn't like a cascade down. It started to do that at the end, like over here. It got the bounce, and then it cascaded down hard. But really, this is pretty much a straight line. And it's if we only drop 56%, again, it's good to see lower percentage drops. It shows that the parabola is turning to the upside. And we're going to see that in a lot of stuff, man. So we're going to talk about it. Brandon, hit the like. I appreciate you. Sai, we still think the peak will come in October or November. I don't know. I'm sticking with yes. And really, the peaks, guys, you got to realize, in a 2017 type event, it was actually for altcoins January when a lot of them started to collapse. They had hit new highs in January. So, I mean, theoretically, we could see this rotate into 2026. I would argue, though, and I'm leaning more into this case, I'm still operating with the assumption that this bitch is over by the end of October. And October is a great month historically for markets. I should say in the Bitcoin and crypto space, after a halving event, October is a really great time frame. But especially that last part of the cycle, which we're in right now. But we haven't seen any parabola or even interest. Retail is not here. Most people are frightened with what's going on in markets. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. I'll actually jump out here and go to U.S. economy because this guy, this douchebag, Andy Constant, had blocked me because I made a comment that it didn't call him a douchebag. It actually just said, hey, I think when everybody's jumping into cash and ready for a big drop, that's actually counterintuitive and an indicator that it's the wrong timing. Evidently, having a different opinion is not good. because he said, whatever form you prefer for long savings, balanced, diversified, blah, 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 passive income, no judging on composition. What level of risk are you today? So again, no judging on composition, but evidently judging on anybody who has a different narrative than what he's trying to portray. And mine's right. His is wrong. So again, heavy cash, 38.4%. I love it. Same as always, neutral. These people aren't even in the game. So, and then leverage long and max leverage long. So you got 28%, 28.7 saying that they're long or leveraged long. And then others are saying, the vast majority in this case, 72% are saying, fuck no, we're not touching anything right now. We're in cash or we're neutral. So I think that says a lot, right? I think that says a lot. I think it says that these guys are off sides, and I love that kind of stuff. I also want to just point out a few other things. I said the macro environment in no way tells me that Bitcoin and the economic cycle are over. We just looked at Ethereum. It hadn't even started. Again, 0 out of 30 technical indicators for Bitcoin. We're heading into QE, quantitative easing cycle, instead of tightening like we were the last cycle in about November of 2021 when the Fed raised rates at the most aggressive rate in history. That ended that market real fucking quick. I think it would have been higher otherwise. But now we have the opposite of that. So if we just flip that around, if it neutered the market last time because the credit markets were tightening, and if we don't have the world falling apart, and I'm going to show you why it's not, then we have the opposite effect, right? We have the opposite effect where we're going to be loosening and we're going to see more credit expansion for a number of reasons. I said we have a president that's pushing pro-growth policies and deregulation, and we can see that. He's trying to end wars too, which is fucking great. That gives us a peace dividend. We love that. I put the potential for the Treasury Secretary to re-rate gold and or pull from other assets. We have land all over the place. We can do tons of land leasing for energy and natural resources that will benefit our economy by driving down prices. And if the government's going to subsidize anything, I would vote for that to be lowering all energy prices. I think we're also doing that with our trade. That's why OPEC is actually lowering or increasing their quota at a time where oil prices are dropping. And we're going to look at oil a little bit later. But I said, yeah, if he does all these things, then it helps keep bond rates down. And then I said a Fed that's receiving a bunch of pressure to lower rates and has the CME watch tool sitting at over 90%. I mean, it's 85 now, but whatever, for lowering rates in September. Fed's got a lot of pressure. Trump has painted him into a hole. If you think about it, Trump wins either way, right? He could say if the economy crashes, he could be like, that guy was a dipshit. I told him he was too late and that he needed to do it right away. If the economy does well, he could say, because I pressured Powell and told him that he needed to lower rates and he did it. He wins either way, and he can blame him either way too. So it's actually a brilliant move. But I think the goal is to basically pressure him to where he has to do it. So Michael Saylor bought 430 Bitcoin. It just posted. So we got like 788, I want to say, with Metaplanet. We got that. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about on that front. But again, I think Bitcoin's going to lag. I think Ethereum's going to lead. I'm going to make my case for that too. Also, though, we have a massive amount of stimulus coming out of China and other parts of the world because their economies are worse off than ours. If you don't believe me, listen to Cross Border Capital and the roughly 80 to 90 metric he uses to track global liquidity. Now, he's been positive on China in the past where I wasn't, but he is very aware, I think, of the liquidity that's being pumped out in the Chinese markets and the data points showing that they're slowing and knowing that they need to revalue the Chinese yuan against something. And he's been saying that's gold, and that's probably why gold just went up and up and up. But yeah, I think liquidity isn't slowing down, and that's the point I wanted to make. Stable coins helping offset sell pressure on treasuries, thus also helping bond yields. I'm going to show you why those have been so helpful so far. And again, just the massive increase that we're seeing in the amount of money funneling into these, which are now regulated in a way or in the process of being regulated in a way that requires companies like Tether and Coinbase with USDC to actually hold treasuries if they're going to be issuing these things instead of just a basket of whatever they felt like fucking doing. So this all is very transformational. I think people are undervaluing it. The largest increase in small businesses being created in almost 20 years. I said I'm sure I'm forgetting a bunch of stuff, but I'm not anymore because we have more stuff to look at here, okay? Like this. Again, one of these talking points. For the first time in almost 20 years, we're seeing a large uptick in business creation. This is so incredibly bullish. Now, I want to be clear. I don't think this is just OnlyFans and Uber from my research, okay? And I don't think OnlyFans and Uber just got invented at the end of 2024 when Kamala Harris was debating Trump. I'm going to argue that the Trump effect has what has caused this giant uptick. One of the fastest upticks we see since 2004 outside of the pandemic. And one that didn't peak until, I mean, look at this. U.S. business applications, I would argue, is a good sign of a bad downturn in your economy. Because look at what happened. By the time 2008 started, this is when the economy started to roll over and we started the stock market really started to feel the pain, right? Look at how good of an indicator this was that pain was coming. But we don't have that fucking now, do we? It's going up. So, again, some really stupid comments on this one. I appreciate all comments, less so on stupid ones. But this is a positive. I don't care what you think. Also, mergers and acquisitions. People say M&A all the time. That's all it means, right? It means businesses are doing deals, and you want to see that in a good economy, or I should say at least a good stock market. They're at their highest levels since 2022. I said this isn't a sign of concerns from Wall Street. And I don't want to just say that they're at their highest levels since 2022. I want to say they're at some of the fucking highest levels going back 25 plus fucking years. That's only as far as Apollo goes back. So maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that could be positive too. I said raising corporate guidance is not a sign of impending bearish economic concerns. What am I talking about here? This is from Goldman Sachs. It says corporate confidence, forward-looking guidance from corporate management was stronger than average. 58% of companies this quarter raised their forward guidance for full-year EPS, twice the 29% rate during the first quarter season. So, just double fucking better than it's supposed to be. I'm going to say that that's pretty fucking good too. You got to watch me on 2X because 2X me is like 3X anybody else. It's a lot to digest. Good luck. I'm rooting for you. Earnings revisions heading into next year look amazing when compared to the last 6-month trailing return for the S&P. Again, the dark blue one is the 6-month return for the S&P trailing. And the one up here is the 500 EPS revision breadth. So people are revising higher, saying this is fucking awesome. The market ear posted that 2020 analogy. Still plenty of upside pain potential. And what he's saying is we're going up. And again, this is one of the many companies that I sub to. Zero Hedge has really good fucking shit in here. That's where I got some of these things today. There's way more. I'll be posting those over the days ahead. There's a lot of great articles from a lot of great companies that people never sub to, but they're worth it. It's not just Tom Lee and Fundstrat. Don't get me wrong. I fucking love him. He's like at the top of the list. But I'm just saying there's a lot to listen to, and you should be paying attention to all of it. And if you can't do that, you should at least be watching this. Because I'm going to be busting my ass for the next fucking 2 to 3 months and even to the end of the year if I have to make it to where I reach my goals, and you should be able to benefit from that. I can't guarantee, but you should be able to because I should provide some kind of value. All right, so 2 months ago, on June 13th, I said that oil was going to fall and continue to fall. Right here, this line. Let's see where it is today. Does that seem about right? Does it seem about right? It seems pretty fucking good to me. And I don't know a lot of people that have been calling that the entire fucking time. That called the peaks, that told people when oil was done at $130 a barrel. I don't know. Like this, I've been better at oil than I've been at with Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, I'm like 85%. Dropped a little bit because I sucked this last week. Anyway. Cryptos are us. Latest, JP Morgan now expects the Fed to cut 4 times in 2025. Thought there was a 5 times. Maybe I misread it. Whatever. Bucket. Close enough. All right. Your last oil calls were all right. They were pretty okay. All right. I said this would happen. I hate saying that. I don't. But I hate sounding arrogant when I say it, and it's hard not to sound arrogant when you say it, but it does get people to pay attention. I said this would happen back before most people thought it was possible. And a bunch of people were just shit talking this post because they were in a bad mood yesterday. To all you guys, fuck off. But foreign holders of U.S. Treasuries, grand total, it was not a prominent narrative a year ago, or even at the beginning of this year when Trump was winning, that somebody who was supposed to be a strong dollar guy and somebody who, after we found out about tariffs, was going to issue, there was the, oh my God, we're in a banana republic in the United States, and the only thing that's going to happen is people are going to sell off our treasuries, and the rates of the 10-year and everything else are going to explode higher. I would like to call bullshit. And what's fascinating about this is foreign official is even, but private official is higher. Now, I'm not 100% sure. If anybody figures this out or already knows the answer, if you can tell me whether or not private it includes stable coins, I'd be super curious. I might even run some queries myself in Grok, trying to determine what private official data looks like from Yardini Research. That's another one I need to sub to that I haven't yet. I've got a lot of good subs. Zero Hedge and Tom Lee Fund Strat are probably my favorites. I jumped out of the Truflation one because it's $100 a month, and I just don't feel like I get enough data points from that. At least not right now. And Crypto Quant is good. There's just a bunch of good ones. But this is fascinating, so I'll do further research there. I put over here, large caps are definitely benefiting from higher rates, or have been, right? And this is off of a post, somebody else's post, I think, or I was responding to something. I said, but if you look at the Russell 2000, in no way does it resemble a topping pattern. It's actually lower than what it was here in 2021 at the peak. So, and we're not much higher than we were in 2009 or 18, late 2018. It's only up 30% in that amount of time. That's a lot of years. So I'm making the argument that when rates come down, both emerging markets and small caps will benefit. Why will they benefit? Great questions. So emerging markets have a lot of their debt denominated in US dollars. When the dollar weakens, it makes them super happy because it means their debt burden isn't as bad, and it means they can loosen. And so the plan that we've had from our Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, to weaken the US dollar and cause it to drop. Oh, hey, it looks like it's kind of doing what I said too. But having it drop such a large amount from over here at the beginning of the year. So Trump gets into office, it's January. We're sitting here at the 109 range. Everybody's talking about how we're going to destroy the world and how everybody's going to start selling our bonds off. And then again, none of that happened. We actually saw more treasuries being purchased. But at the same time, we topped out, and everybody said that Trump was going to, strong dollar guy is going to crush markets. The exact fucking opposite of that happened, and I called it the entire fucking time because that's not his goal. His goal was to get get exports produced or get products produced in the United States and getting consumed here and also exported out to the rest of the world, at least in regard to business sectors that we want to win in. And a lot of that is going to be technology and AI, right? Those things are going to be right at the forefront, and just defense-related technologies, a bunch of stuff that we don't want other people controlling. But again, the dollar's gotten weaker. Oil is going down. Let's just look at that again real quick. And then we'll keep going. So again, you could totally see this top. If you looked at this with, I don't have the RSI up right now. I just got the MACD. But if you looked over here when we had this massive wick, you knew it was game over. And once we dropped back up over here too, it was like, okay, double top. Or if you had this flipped around the other way, W bottom. And so you knew it was over, and you knew the measured move brought it down a lot. And then once you got confirmation over here, and then again here and here and here, where it rejected, you just kind of understand what the trend is. And then we overshot it to the downside, but we didn't go all the way. When we went back up and I saw this rejection, it's a very easy answer that we're going to be coming back again. And even before that, I could tell we've had so many touch points here. We're probably not going to make it that long as the president's doing what he wants to do with his agenda. Oh, there's my RSI. It's on top. Well. We can fix that later. All right. Sorry for ranting a little bit, guys, but I got some good stuff today, so, or at least I think I do. Yeah, I think that might be it for the U.S. economic stuff. Let's see what we got here. Good morning, big hugs from Spain to you and your nephew. Thank you, Victor. Erdeem Milcher. That's a long one. We're just going to go with Erdbeer. We're going with that. Yep, feeling like the USD drop a lot. My mom bought BTC at Trump's inauguration for 105,000 euro, around 109,000 USD. Then, because of hopes of the SBR pump, now BTC is at 124. Yeah, I know. That sucks, right? Because of the conversion, you guys kind of got fucked. I feel for foreign investors because of the weaker dollar. So it's great if you have debt denominated in US dollars. Emerging markets, again, are going to benefit a lot in the future, and that's why I'm so heavy into ARGT. But from an investment standpoint, Erdbeer makes a really good point. It sucks ass because you don't get that benefit, right? The dollar's dropping like a fucking rock. And so your investments that are in US dollars just go down too. It sucks. Here's the thing, though. I don't think it's going a lot lower. I think most of the pain is in. It's dropped 11%. So, yeah, your math checks out. But I don't know. It can go lower, but eventually you'll start reaching levels of support down here. And I need to kind of draw that out. But I would think another max drop. And again, it doesn't actually have to go this low. But it could go a little bit less. But I would say a max drop is 7%, with a more likely drop being closer to where I have this pointer here, around 4.5%. And then it should be over. And then, if anything, we might gain strength again. Yeah, it sucks. It's a hell of a headwind. You're right. Why is my channel different now? Just change the name to Ted Petey. Oh, I don't know. I don't see it yet, but maybe I'll see it later. If you just updated that, maybe I'll see it later. Real quickly. So again, I wanted to segue here and talk about Argentina because I love Argentina. I think Javier Milei is brilliant. I think he is one of the reasons we have Trump right now, because he literally gave China the middle finger, told communism to fuck off, and ran around with a chainsaw saying he was going to destroy the federal government in his country. Well, I guess not federal, but government in his country. And he did exactly that, and he's done amazing things for them. I won't go into all of it right here, but I did want to show that emerging markets, EM versus U.S. equities, so this trading pair is very important. It is one more than a standard deviation below the normal range. And so this is crazy because if you look at this, we're at like the 60s levels for emerging markets. And yet I would argue that emerging markets like Argentina that are going through a renaissance and were once called, you got to remember, this thing's like a breadbasket. They've got tons of minerals. They're going to be a huge asset to the United States and solidifying our power over North and South America and being able to project that out to the rest of the world. So I think our ARGT, a fund that invests in some of their biggest companies, is a great way to play that. And I think that as rates come down, because we know they benefit emerging markets because they hold their debts in US dollars, we're going to see amazing things, especially when you consider that this guy actually has budget surpluses in his country. And in a period of less than 2 years has turned from horrific, highly inflationary, runaway inflation into one of the most financially sound countries on earth is fucking insane, and I'm all here for it. So again, I love that. I actually own, I think, 55,000 or something now in it. I did update my portfolio. I'm down like 30+% from where I was a month ago, which sucks. But I talk about all the reasoning for the ups and downs and what my plans are, so you guys could see those. But ARGT is definitely one of those plans for my long-term account. I might have to sell some Tesla today because I got to probably bond out my nephew, and I don't have a lot of cash, and I got to pay for some renovations in my house. So I'm going to sell some long-term and lock in some short-term capital losses. But I want to really put more money in Tesla and Argentina. These are two primary areas where I want to put money, and I'm looking to do that in the not-too-distant future. Let's jump into Ethereum. I already showed you the chart on just the fact that nobody's paying attention, but I wanted to dispel some things too, because I'm not the kind of person that just shills my fucking bags trying to make myself look good and get people to pump my shit. I'm not that. I'm always going to be honest. I can't help it. It's the only speed I know. So with Ethereum, there are people that are posting bullshit, trying to make it look like this guy right here, DC Investor, and a bunch of others, going back pre-merge for Ethereum and then showing Bitcoin before the halving event for the most part, and trying to make it look like Bitcoin's inflation rate is really high and Ethereum's is really low. This is a fucking lie. If you go back over the last 30 days, my mom is calling. 1 second, guys. 1 second. Give me a second. All right, guys, my mother needs to get in because they're going to be watching my nephew's child right now. So give me, please, 1 second. I just need to let them in real fast, and I'll be right back, okay? 1 second. There's a door stop in front of the front door. Before you guys open it, move that. All right, sorry about that, guys. With my nephew in jail, there's nobody to watch his baby, who turns 1 soon, which he's probably going to miss. Anyway, so I have to have my parents are helping watch him at my house. All right, so, and we're going to do that too, I guess, for whatever amount of time. So Ethereum. So if you look at the actual rates of Bitcoin and Ethereum inflation over the last month, you will see that they're actually pretty comparable. So I really don't like it when people try and create a narrative that is false to shit talk the other thing that they don't seem to appreciate. So that this is the actual truth. They're about the same. So that's not a talking point that wins for Ethereum. All right. One thing that does win. Man. If you can't take care of your family and help other people, I really don't see much point in life. If it's always about you, I don't know. I feel like it's a pretty shallow existence. And after a certain age, I don't know. You just look at things differently. All right, Cryptos R Us. He says Ethereum L1 transactions and active addresses are at all-time highs while gas fees are close to all-time lows. I think this is beautiful. Again, it's not Solana level stuff. That's retail. This is Wall Street. But the cool thing is, again, gas fees are low, so it is scalable. It's not the cheapest. Solana's probably better. At least, well, uptime maybe not, but everything else basically. But the adoption isn't just going to be happening there. I mean, I'm sorry, it's just not. That's not what's going to happen. And people like Tom Lee and all these other companies that are investing in Ethereum are letting us know that. I also said shorts are going to get wrecked. Again, Zero Hedge, we love him. He said generously providing liquidity into the new all-time highs. Just talking about how shorts, this was 10 hours ago, are at record levels. And then you have people like the head of Citadel. Oh, God, his name escapes me for some reason. That Tony Griffin. No, Griffin? Help me out, guys. Help me out, chat. So, but we have him investing too. I forget the exact number, but it's a decent chunk. Now, I don't know if he's going to be doing something with some kind of shorting technique. I'm not sure. But we're seeing more and more people investing in Ethereum and their network. Ken Griffin, thank you. But again, there's great articles from Zero Hedge. I actually love this company. It is worth having. Oh, I guess the link isn't in this one, but it's definitely worth having. It's a good membership. Some people talking about Bitminer saying PayPal's PYUSD is nearing $1 billion in supply on ETH. It's about fucking time. I fucking hate PayPal. I'm bitter towards them. One of the companies that has not turned out well in my investment portfolio, and I had to bail out of. So, but and I gave it 2 years. I really did give them an opportunity. But it says financial, and the sad part is they're probably going to do better now just because all of banking is going to go higher. But it says financial giants are building on Ethereum. And so, again, it just shows how we're starting to see an expansion on there. We're seeing that in a lot of stable coins too. I'll show you that in a second. It says ETH's final boss. This is Merlin the trader. He says massive liquidity, wall waiting, billions in ass, the last fortress before open skies. Break it, and Ethereum enters vertical acceleration. This is where legends print profits. I agree with that, and it's a massive amount of volume. BMNR is my most confident bet at the moment. I agree with that. I think Ethereum is going to be very strong. I think that because of this too. I don't actually think the altcoins are going to do as well this time. I think the broader market won't do as well. Benjamin Cohen's done a bunch of charts about that. We look at it, just looking at the top altcoins, like the top 3. If you look at the top 3 versus everything else, you'll see that the top 3 are just crushing. And Ethereum again and Solana are definitely on that list. Here, one second. I might adjust for just a second, guys. It's my nuts. They still bother me. All right, let's see here. Thank you guys for being willing to deal with this. I appreciate it. So, first comes accumulation, then disbelief, then the 20% move that prints 80% of the profits. This chart is a reminder. Alt season doesn't reward the impatient. It punishes them. It rewards those who endure. I wish you would have showed the access and stuff better on here. But again, this is, I forget what it's simulated off of, or what it's emulated off of. But this is a real chart, and this is what it looks like. Like, we're definitely just getting out of accumulation in the altcoins. And again, I think Ethereum is going to be one of the best. Solana too. Let's see. Jacob said, do you think ETH sees more downside bringing BMNR or SBET down with it? I'm almost convinced ETH is bottomed. ETH is very close to bottoming. We can just look at it real quick. If you look over here, now we could go further, but the vast majority of it is in. The most we'll see is a back test to this fib or down here to this red line, which means we're already halfway there. So could we see more of a drop, another 5, 6, 7%? Sure. Do I care? Fuck no. I really don't care. And I don't even think it's that much. Let's look here. We'll actually put the number out. Updated on the chart. So it's anywhere from 5%. Oh, no, I was right. 5% down to about 8%. So that's how much we're looking at for a potential drop. I'm not worried about that personally. Our upside alone from here, just to get back to our recent high, is 13. So I'm loving these numbers to the upside. I'm not caring as much about downside related risk. And I do think we're bottoming. I think people just have to be patient. I've given you guys a bunch of reasons why. Things look good, right? So we should pay attention to the fact that things look good and be happy. Maybe take a fucking day off and just, again, touch grass, enjoy your life. Kirby says, it's my nuts, should be on a t-shirt. Yeah, right. Isn't that great? Where else do you get commentary about nuts? Pretty much on the daily. Multiple times. We're always willing to deal with your nuts, Jesse. Thank you. Max Crypto, BlackRock is bullish on ETH. Fidelity is bullish on ETH. President Trump is bullish on ETH. His son certainly doesn't stop talking about it. Peter Thiel is bullish on ETH. The NVIDIA CEO, Jensen Huang, is bullish on ETH. And you think the ETH rally is over. I mean, I would throw in some Tom Lee. I'd throw in some ARK Invest. I'd throw in virtually everybody and say, yeah, we're probably good. When you have Forbes magazine telling you that Ethereum is going to hit 10,000, it feels like a pretty safe bet. They're not really known for pushing the end of the spectrum, right? Jesse, why are Treasury MNAVs dropping across the board in your opinion? I think it was just compression of what was getting ready to come in Bitcoin. Bitcoin's taking a breather, and we were seeing that in the thing that had the highest multiple. So you're getting, like, really, I think you're getting advance notice, or I should say just a bigger multiplier of whatever happens. So if we go into a rational exuberance with these treasuries, you could see 3, 4, 5, 6, 10x NAVs on some of these, or MNAVs on some of these. Those are huge multiples, incredibly accretive, and it's going to be a melt-up machine, right? But on the way down, you can expect some losses. This is how volatile assets work. If you're not willing to deal with a 50% drop, you will not get consistently 200, 300%, 400% ups, or 1,000% up. You won't get that if you can't handle 50% down, 60, 70% down. And it sucks because, again, I got into Bitcoin treasuries too soon. I did a better job getting into Ethereum and Solana treasuries. I'm still very much on Ethereum treasuries. 20, 30, maybe even 40% in one of my accounts for BMNR. And then I locked in really good stuff with FSPET. And then I've gotten into Solana ones. I'm about half to a little bit up on that because I sold a Solana 2X fund and I did really good on that. And then I took some of that cash to move it to other things. Now I fucked up. I told myself I wasn't going to get into options, but then I got into options on Sequoians. And that was probably dumb because I lost shit tons of money on those. There's things where you make mistakes, right? And things happen. But I do believe that we're getting ready to see much bigger MNAVs. I don't know if it takes a week, maybe two. Maybe September is the exact opposite of what people think. I feel like we're drawing down in August. Who feels like we've been drawing down in August? Raise your hand. So maybe the markets, both the broader markets, or maybe the broader markets suffer more. I actually think they're going to be laggards. I think Bitcoin and crypto, especially Ethereum, are going to do better. I think Ethereum's going to do better. Then maybe Bitcoin starts coming in. Then maybe the broader markets come in. Or maybe the broader markets keep doing well. I don't know. I don't fucking care. I do think the general direction is up. We got hands. Can you please share your fib for BMNR? Are the hands a vote for that? Is that what I'm seeing? Okay. Yes, I can. So I got to adjust it though because we went lower and I haven't updated it, so I need to. Now I want to show actually a couple of things here. I'm going to do two things. So this is the trend-based fib extension. This is assuming we found the bottom, which I'd say pretty safely we have, right? And look how perfectly we hit the fib up here, the first fib before we rejected off of it. But then I could do something else too. I could do the fib-based trend extension. So I'll just draw it from here up to here and see where it went, right? So it looks like we're at this first fib. We appear to be finding support. We've hit it a bunch of times. We hit it here, 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 here. So there's been a bunch. But could it break down and go even lower to the 50 range? Sure. That's doable. Could it go down to the moving averages or even the .618? It could happen, dude. All kinds of shit can happen. But I don't think it's going to because I think that there's too much strength in Ethereum. And I think the way Tom Lee and all these other treasury companies, SBET and all the others, are buying up Ethereum and all the promises we have of them buying up Ethereum, I don't think we can stay down for long. I think market saggy for AUG and nuts in September. Nuts, saggy nuts. Nice. I like that. I don't know if there's a real question in there, but I like it. Thank you. All right. Anyway, would love to see miners pull off a wolf. Yeah, I don't know. I do think that I think miners can bounce, but I mean, the real winners seem to be iron and anything doing HPC. I hear rumors about Cypher, Wolf. I don't remember if Wolf, I feel like that was HPC too. I don't know. But I don't pay much attention to him anymore. But again, looking at iron up 3.2% last Friday and 0.41% today, it hasn't really broken through its recent high that it did. Really, it kind of hit that around July 3rd, and then it really peaked on July 21st. It hasn't done that. But I do think that iron is set to go higher. So out of all the miners, this looks like the one that can move up to that next .618 golden retracement. Maybe I would argue, I think pretty easily, that iron is going to be a leader in price action, right? The HPC plays are going to be a leader in price action. And if we're going to get laggards, it's going to be shit like Mara and CleanSpark. That kind of sucks sometimes. But again, yeah, guys, Metaplanet. Let's just go back to Metaplanet. Aren't you guys happy that this thing is up 4% in the Japanese market? What is it in Germany this morning? It's only up 1.17%. So maybe it drops some more in the German market. But I like the fact that it's up. And then let's just look at Metaplanet in the U.S. here. See if pre-market's up. I don't think it is. Oh, here, it didn't drop in. Let me put it in. Yeah, we don't have pre yet because there's just nothing here. But we did have an overshoot yesterday. Or one could argue if it's not an overshoot, that it could be something like this. Let me see here. Maybe like this. I don't know. I still think it's an overshoot. Yeah, either way it is. Either way it is. This is probably a better chart though. But either way, it overshot, and I would argue that it wants to bounce up today on MetaPlanet and get back above this overshoot. So we'll see if that happens, but I do think it wants to. BGZ says, do you still plan to roll ETH Treasury profits into Bitcoin Treasuries if they're still down? It depends on timing. 1 second here. I'm just adjusting again. It depends on timing. If the timing warrants it, I'll do it, and then I'll tell you guys that I'm doing it. But if the timing doesn't warrant it and it actually sucks, then I won't do it, and I'll tell you that I didn't do it. So, but just ask those questions. Keep asking them, and we'll get there. And thank you for the $5. I appreciate you. Out of all but CleanSpark, having to wait a bit longer, and I'm done. Miners have blown hard. They do have blown hard, and again, I'm still like really in them. I sold over 20% of my Mara calls, like over 600 calls, when it was at the peak recently, and I sold out all my iron. Again, we're still in that range, even though those calls, maybe I should have kept them, since it's doing really well, but I don't care. I'm happy to be out. I want to get out of Mara and CleanSpark calls, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait because I think we get a run. I still think I'm not selling these things. I'm not selling CleanSpark until, I don't know, at least around the 20s. 17 to 20 would be like probably 20s. It would probably be at least 24 to 35 before I sell CleanSpark calls. And then I'll just sell them more aggressively as we go higher. And I think Mara is very easily getting to like the 30 range and doubling. So I'm not selling my shit until that happens. I'll let it go to zero before I do that. Alex Great, the ninth, says speculators have now built the largest leveraged ETH short position in history. I know, we looked at it. That's crazy. Guys, if you look in the bottom right corner, you'll see that we're actually still finding support that goes off a trend line that goes to the way back, all the way in April of 2021. Over 4 years ago, guys. We're looking at 50 plus months of a trend line where we're still seeing support. I think that's kind of cool. I don't know if you guys think that's cool, but I think it's cool. I'm also going to track this here. I want to turn this red and watch that. But also, and there's some confluence here. Look at this. You see this here? Support, resistance, support, support. Fell through, got back up pretty quick though. Found support again, found it again, finding it again at an area that has confluence with the trend that is over 5 years ago, right? Or 4.5 years ago. So I'm just going to say this is kind of cool. I think it's a positive thing. And maybe we wick underneath a bit for a minute, but I think it's a positive as long as we get back up and do it in a hurry, which I think we're going to do. I think it's a positive thing. So we'll see how it plays out and see if I'm right today. We all got real toxic relationships. Yeah, right. SBET is drilling so hard. Are they drilling? I mean, it's down. But here's the thing. SBET got fucked on Friday. Down 15.5%, right? Big, painful trade. And it's down more today, but the fascinating thing is that, again, Ethereum got hit hard today, and it is down today 2.92%. You know what? BMNR is still beating it. It came back. Son of a bitch. Well, there's a reason why 2/3 of my Ethereum portfolio is BMNR, because it's up. It's only down about the same amount as SBET, and it's bouncy as fuck, guys. Like, this is like a bull flag. If we just draw this out, you could very easily, let me just change the colors here. Figure out something that looks a little more bold. Maybe I'll do pink. Pink is bright. Nope, that's not bright. Let's see, this one. Whatever. All right. So, but if we look here, you could say that this is a bull flag, I think, pretty easily, couldn't you? And that we're near the bottom of it. I feel like you could say that. And that we're going to bounce. Why did crypto drop overnight? Oh. Because it was dropping on the close yesterday with Bitcoin. It looked like it wanted to test backwards. I mean, we looked at that, right? Let's just pull this up. I mean, just look at it over here. We said that, hey, this is bad because it's like a double top wick. This is called the tweezer top. It's a bad pattern that lets you know that you're going to do a retest. And now we're underneath of it. And again, we could drop even further. We could go down here to the 109 range. I put it as low as the potential for 100, but I honestly feel like we're showing a lot of strength. So we'll see if that happens. And ETH is really close to support. Again, we can drop more, but all in all, there's some bouncy looking shit out there. And BMNR and SBET, this would be like the worst fucking time to sell. And don't get me wrong, I know I've been saying that for a while. It hasn't been true. But here's the thing about that is eventually I'm right, because as it lost shit tons of value, it becomes really close to being true. So we're near the bottom. Just hang on. That's what I'm doing at least. You're going to be okay. Good God, BMR just bought another 373,000. Yeah, I don't even know what we're at right now. I know it's fucking high. Let's look at the strategic reserve over here, guys. This is so crazy. I did some posts about this too. Nobody's probably looking at them. But it's really fascinating, guys. So this I don't even know if we're caught up here. I think we're at like 1.8 million now for ETH. So this isn't even current. Oh, he updated the MNAV plan? What is it now? SWC. We can look at that too. But again, this isn't even fully updated yet. The thing I wanted to point out here is that in July, about roughly 5 weeks ago, we had 5.5 million ETH locked up. But only 1.2 of that was in strategic reserves, right? Well, now if we go over here, we're at 10.261, almost double in 5 weeks. That rate is so fast that by the beginning of next year, early part of spring, we won't have any ETH left on exchanges at all if we keep this kind of pace going. And we know Tom Lee still wants to buy 4% more, and there are other massive players trying to do the same. So I see a run on the bank in like a really good way here. Again, we went from like 1.2 to 3.7. This thing went up 200% in strategic reserve adoption of total Ethereum held in 5 weeks. So I don't know what to say. That's huge growth. I hope you guys get it. You guys are smarter than most of these other people. So hopefully you do. And again, just to let you know that they're planning on adding more Ethereum, BMNR is planning on buying more. Again, they're already up from this. I think they're up 500,000 more or some shit. But they're planning on buying more Ethereum than what this entire group of almost 30 companies holds. I think all of them, the entire list of the strategic reserve. Bitmine alone is going to buy more Ethereum than all 70 that are on this list. So I just want to reiterate, I think it's a really good time to own Ethereum. This is cool too. ETH pullbacks keep getting shallower. So this is, again, a really positive sign that you're in a bull market. And we'll look at ETH's price here in a second. But look at this, a 27% drop in June, a 14.68 in August, and 8.66, it says, down to 44.51. We're a little bit lower than that now, but still shallower than this other pattern. And that is a good thing. We'll just pull up Ethereum over here. Switch it to the daily. But again, the time that it's taking to go down, look at how long it took here, guys, before we had our breakout. Then look at how long this was. I would argue this pattern right here looks stronger and shallower than the last one. And I think it's going to be more parabolic to the upside. Yeah, Sailor tweeted up to 40 minutes ago. Does BMNR have any income sources other than pipe investments, dilution, and the native ETH yield? I can't remember if the company financially has them too. I want to say they've got enough free cash flow. I could take a look. I'll take a closer look at BMNR and see if I can speak to that. But for now, no, that's a lot of it. But I could totally see products like what we have with MetaPlanet and MicroStrategy coming to Ethereum on top of the pipe. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if they end up pivoting at all. But here's the thing. They're still operating at a 2x MNAV. And there seems to be no end of money that's willing to invest in them. And the retail hype seems to be strong too. And again, this isn't as big of a flush out. SWC was like 1720. The Meta Planet was like near the tens, right? Like these multiples can get a lot higher. And BMNR has grown a lot. I don't even know what the market cap is right now. It's up there, 10 billion. So it's a lot, but I still think it could 5-6x pretty easy. I don't see why not. If he gets 5% of the supply of Ethereum and the price goes up to what I think it can go up, 6x seems very doable. That's only a 500% increase. Just a retest of the breakout. I agree. I think that's exactly what it is. Yeah, and I wanted to point this out too. I said to all of the people, oh yeah, no, we already saw that. We're good there. We're good there. 430 BTC for MSTR, I think 788 for Meta Planet, and then we're probably going to get a bunch of other announcements too from other people that are talking about what they're doing. So it is all good in the hood. I like it right now. Real quickly, I wanted to talk about Trump. So I do think Trump, with Zelensky in his meeting today, I think he's trying to do with Russia and China the opposite of what Henry Kissinger had done, where he moved us closer to China and helped create the horrific communist regime of the CCP that we see right now. Regardless of how you feel about Kissinger, I do think that that was done at the time so that we could isolate Russia by focusing on China. It worked out really well over the short term, maybe not so much the long. But I think we're doing the opposite of that right now. I think we're doing the reverse Kissinger. I think what we're doing is using Russia to isolate China, and I think that's the right move. Options are now available for BMNR. Cool. I'm not going to touch options. We're too late in the game for me to care. I like to do leaps. I'm the leap guy. Delving into the shorter term stuff, I've hated it, and it has not turned out well so far for the Bitcoin miners. So I'm not using it for anything. I did it with Sequoians too and got wiped out there. I would just rather be safe from here on out. I still think I'm getting to $12 million this year. And so that's plenty for me. I don't need to dial in any more risk. But I said here, I think it's possible. I think it's a positive sign that we have not implemented sanctions right away on Russia after we met with Putin in Alaska. And I said this means Putin is either playing ball or trying to create that illusion. But from what I can tell you about Russia's economy, he needs this war to end. So it's probably the former. And I showed a video here from, this one's Joe Blogs. There's a bunch of them you can look at. But he does a pretty good job just breaking down data-wise why the Russian economy is collapsing. The thing I love about him is he's a chart guy. So if we zoom over here, you see data points about the economy, letting you know why they're collapsing, what's going on with it, what their growth rate looks like, what the money printer looks like, all the important stuff. So again, I like Joe in regard to, he's not always right about things, but again, he does a good job of showing you actual data, which I love. Do you do covered calls for income? I don't. Right now, I think would be the worst time to do that, at least for crypto and Bitcoin. It would definitely be the worst time. But that was a play for a long time, right? From April on for quite a few months, covered calls treated people really well. But yeah, so I think it says Trump puts tariffs on hold, oil market, breathes, yada, yada, yada. But again, oil is still down, guys, 1.62%. So this new supply being issued, especially from Saudi Arabia, a country that is not benefiting financially from this outside of maybe deals with the United States, well, it's benefiting us. And we love that. There's Zelensky this morning, about 11 hours ago, coming to DC. I haven't heard anything new on this yet, but I'm very excited to see it. I think a peace dividend's coming. It doesn't have to happen right away. I also like seeing the White House post 23 hours later, well after their meeting with Putin, that there's big progress on Russia. Stay tuned. This was the next day. So I think that's a really positive thing, or maybe a day and a half later. We got Galaxy Loop saying, what sector do you think targets percentage gains will come from in largest percentage gains? Gotcha. Okay. I don't know. I think 2026 is going to be harder. I think Tesla will do good. I think there's going to be a lot of small businesses. We need to look towards small caps more. I know that. I think the small caps are going to do really great. And I think things like ARC Genomics, could do really good. I think emerging markets are going to do good, like ARGT. again, we've seen that we're just like the data points couldn't be better for these different areas. But there's probably a lot of small caps that we need to figure out. So one of the things I'll probably be asking you guys to do is let me know what your favorite small cap play is and why. And we can talk about that as a group and dissect it. And maybe we hate it, maybe we don't. Who gives a fuck? Let's throw out ideas, look at their financials, talk about the pros and the cons, and figure it out together. There's no better way to do that than us working together. I will do my research as always, but there's a lot of brilliant people in here. You can see that in the Discord, you can see it on X, and you can see it in the comments. Mr. Crypto, Russia and Ukraine agrees to a peace deal. Crypto pumps extremely hard. We all get rich. Questions. I agree with that, actually. Also, politically wise, again, if you're a Democrat, I'm sorry, I'm going to shit on you guys a little bit. I voted for Biden, so, whatever. I'm kind of like, I'm all over the place. I can't figure my shit out. But Bite with Memes said, I didn't realize how bad it was. Gerrymandering. So MA, 36% Republican votes, 0 seats. Connecticut, 42. Maine, 46. New Mexico, 46. New Hampshire, 48. Rhode Island, 42. Vermont, 32. Hawaii, 38. Delaware, 42. The gerrymandering, you guys did that, okay? You Democrats did that. And you've kept us out of congressional seats. And now we're going to fuck you. Sorry, that's just how it works. Also, I wanted to speak real quickly about Washington, D.C. I want to listen to black people that live in neighborhoods where they are dangerous. And I want you to see what their responses are, not these white, old, crusty, purple-haired fucking bitches that exist in the protests. Not the liberals who feel like they're doing something for the poor people and the drug addicts and the criminals and the youth that are murdering people at the ages of 13 to 15. But people that have to live in this shit and want to have just normal lives and work fucking hard. Let's listen to what they have to say.
Man, down the city is quiet as a church mouse, man. I came all the way down Pennsylvania Avenue this morning. So peaceful, yeah. I don't smell no weed, yeah. I don't see no homeless people. I mean, I came all the way through the southeast side, all the way down here. You can see now I'm at the White House jump, man. It's quiet, yeah. It's a shame that it takes somebody to have to sit in your classroom in order for you to be in order, yeah. Because that's what it feels like, yeah. You gotta be babysitted to do your job, yeah. Stuff been out of control for years. You gotta do better, yeah. You gotta do better, yeah.
I love this because this guy, you can tell he's not highly educated. That's a problem in big inner cities and ghetto neighborhoods, right? You don't get good teachers, and you're scared of getting shot, and all the people that are cool are hustling, and so it's just a really shitty fucking place to live, and it doesn't do a good job educating people. But despite that, this guy is smart, and he fucking gets it better than these Ivy League fucking assholes who want to posture and make it look like they're there for the betterment of humanity when really all they're trying to do is facilitate people destroying their fucking lives or that of others. And that is not the world we should be living in. And this guy can see it. He lives it, and he deserves a better life, along with so many other people that are impacted by crime and all this fucking stupidity. Shit like this, where you have people that just break into places and steal everything from it until the places eventually close down. Or having DEI, DC police chiefs who don't know simple things like the chain of command. I've watched cops for a few years, and I know what fucking chain of command means. I haven't been in the military, and I know what chain of command means. I'm a high school dropout who only went to a year and a half of school. I know what chain of command means. The police chief of Washington, D.C. did not. She looks fucking retarded.
That's what the chain of command is now?
What does that mean?
Well, is it Pam Bondi speaking to the mayor, speaking to you, or how does...
What does that mean? Fuck. This is the problems we have. You got a DEI hire who literally, I think, helped manage DEI shit for this fucking city and then became the police chief. Similar shit to California. It's just garbage. It's garbage and fucking stupidity. Real quickly, history guy scalps. You're spot on with the gerrymandering and DC crime. Time to push back. Yeah, we're gonna fix it. SWC is crashing hard. It's crashing hard. Holy shit! It's down 3.77%. I'm gonna say that that's not too hard. Oh, it is in the UK, but you guys got it easy last week. The UK, I don't even think it was down that hard at all. Yeah, see, look here. This new day, you guys were up here. You guys didn't take a hit last week. We took a hit in the United States. Well, I don't know where you are, but assuming that you might be looking at the other one, and that's why you're more freaked out. They didn't take a hit last week. Look at this. They were at 182 or some shit. Now they've dropped as low as 154. So you're right. The UK version of this finally got what we were feeling last week in the United States. And that, let's see what that brought us down to. That is an over 75% drop in total with that one. But let's look here in the United States. So again, 8.52% down today. But here in the U.S., we're sitting at 3.7 from last week. And let's see, but what are we at? Are we comparable now for percentages? I think we're close now. 73.68 is what we've seen from top to bottom for a fall. And the UK is 75. So if anything, you guys overshot us a little bit today. Maybe we go down more in the United States, but I'm going to make this argument. This is a bottoming pattern. At least it looks like it's getting there because we've got almost flat. We don't have a divergence rolling yet, but we're real close to it. And again, if you look over here, where we're at right now isn't much different than where we were over here. When is this? On the 27th of June. So 3 weeks ago. We're about around the same range. So again, if you bought up here, I mean, that fucking sucks. If you bought on the bounce, or if you bought like even over here in the upper three, like that sucks. But we are nearing a bottom right now, and this is good stuff. It's getting there. I think all of it's getting there, and I think you'll see more of that in the next couple of days. Maybe it takes Jackson Hole on Friday. Maybe we just grind for a bit. I don't actually think that's a bad thing. I think it's really healthy. SWC in Germany is down 14%. Ouch. See, being German sucks, guys. No, I don't know. I'm kidding. But it does today in the SWC market, it sounds like. So 9% in Germany. We'll see what happens in the United States. We'll see if that one ends up going down too. But it sounds like Germany's getting hit pretty hard. I'm going to move Ethereum over here. But yeah, so I think what you see first is, again, I've been saying this, but I think it's going to be Ethereum first. And it's nice seeing Metaplanet up in Germany and in Japan. Again, it's the bigger vessel. That one's probably going to bounce first too. While we're on this subject, here's Bitcoin. I said if we can't hold support here, which we are so far, at 115,468, if you look in the bottom right corner, guys, we're actually holding it pretty good. But if we don't, for some reason, it's not a catastrophic loss. I think the 108 range is probably the bottom, and that isn't super far down from where we are right now. And again, we're seeing a pattern in Bitcoin where we're seeing shallower drops. We like that. If it stops here, this is great. This is a really strong reversal pattern that we're seeing right here. If we can continue some of that, we could go parabolic. But again, if we grind sideways for a bit, I don't hate that. Let me see what else we got here. This is just Bitwise telling us about how. That means. Just telling us about how Bitcoin on exchanges is just at record lows that we haven't seen in a very long time. Their chart doesn't go back far enough, but it's true. What he's saying is true. Oh, let me go over here once. What about SWC? That's the same as TSWCF that we just looked at. So you might want to just go back like a couple minutes. Ted PD, we need freedom and privacy. Those are important things. On that note, we got billionaire Jack Dorsey, or at least Segway, explains how Bitcoin will eliminate Visa, MasterCard, and big banks. Okay, so that kind of helps with privacy, right? So this is a recent interview. Yes, he does look like the midget from Game of Thrones. But it helps when he has the hat on. But yes, let's listen to Jack. And people actually, when people talk about Jack Dorsey now, they don't even have him in it. they use the photos from Game of Thrones, which is great. I love that. But yeah, let's listen to Jack talk about why credit cards and banks are going away, which I totally agree with and have been saying for years.
All you have to do is look at the first page of the white paper, which I encourage everyone to do, which is it only sought out to solve one problem, which is
Oh, my bad. I hit a button. Let me fix it.
verifying that there's no double spending. You're not spending twice
Oh, my nuts.
without having to rely upon a third party. Like it literally is just how do we transmit money without having to rely on a Visa or MasterCard or a bank to tell us that this was not a double transaction. That was it. That was the innovation. And the title of the white paper is Electronic Peer-to-Peer Cash. Like that was the dream. That was the intention. It was supposed to be a way to transmit money protocol.
Nah, it wasn't Jack Dorsey. It's Hal Finney.
For the internet.
I'll take that to my
transmit money
grave.
anywhere without a Visa or MasterCard or a bank or any gatekeeper whatsoever. And it's become, and it's not like, I think the true Bitcoiner's dream is still that it's money, but it's become this like digital gold narrative, which I think is important because like if it's valuable, more people want to work on it. And you can think of Bitcoin like you would an equity or an asset. And if I make it better, then that asset goes up and I can, convert it to whatever I need or just, give it to merchants to pay for food for my family, anything I need to do until it's widely, dramatically accepted. But it all goes back to that core concept of like the internet needs a native currency. It needs an open protocol.
Yeah, I do agree with him too. And again, so his whole point was it was to get rid of the intermediary. The intermediaries are the banks and the credit card companies. Some people don't seem to understand that they're going to be gone. I don't know why, because they will. So zero hedge, the average professional fund manager allocation towards crypto is 0.3% of AUM, assets under management. 75% of fund managers have zero allocation, source Bank of America. So we're early. We have whales are buying Bitcoin like never seen before. They know what's coming next. Bitcoin demand accumulator addresses. So these are the big purchasers, right? And you could see even again since like early July, a massive uptick in this. And it's maybe taking a break for a bit. We got Michael Saylor buying more Bitcoin. Not a huge number, but good enough. I said we're at bear market bottom levels of bearishness. When I post something, nobody reads it. And if they do read it, they just want to bitch and moan about something. That's actually a good sign. It's annoying as fuck, but it's actually a really good sign that we're nearing a bottom. So I do think that that is what is happening. Somebody asked about SBET. Let's talk about that real quick. So the question is when's a good time to buy SBET? I would actually say now. It doesn't have a ton in the way of gaps. I mean, technically, let's look over here. We probably do have a gap. Let's see if we do. No, we don't. We don't even have a gap, really. I mean, we do here, but I don't think there's a chance of closing a gap down to 691. I don't think there is. But I will say this. Let's see here real quick. Let's do a fib-based trend extension. So we went from here. I do believe this is a real bottom from the recent. So we went there. We went underneath. We almost made it down to the .786, which really is usually the bottom. And you can see where, again, you got some support that's building up over here. And we've got, again, what was, or I should say resistance over here that turns us into support. And then over here, too, we've got a lower bottom. And so we could stop here, wick up, and start trading higher. Or, again, we could go down even further here, maybe hit this next fib at the 100 moving average. I don't think we're going much lower than that. Again, this thing is really cheap. Its NAV is low. And I think Ethereum is going to do really well. And I think any drops in Ethereum are going to be short-lived. If we just look even from this morning, guys, let's just look at Ethereum's price. So look at this wick. We're already seeing a wick. Look at this. We're already seeing a wick forming over here. Look at that. So this thing is just really good at finding support right now. And I wouldn't bet against it. And I don't see how SBET. sucks in an environment where Ethereum is doing really, really well and going into parabola. I mean, if you look down over here, guys, we were in the 1400s on April 7th, and we've hit as high as 4,800 now. That's a pretty big deal for an asset this big. RSI is super low. Yeah, it probably is. I mean, Ethereum's is not, but the RSI on SBET probably is getting there. I mean, the daily isn't really even oversold yet. It's actually got a higher low, and I would argue that that's bullish if we start to find the bottom right here. Again, the lowest, higher. I guess technically we drop down right here, but then again, it's higher, 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 and then potentially higher here. And this does appear to be a strong base. If you look right here and draw a line, I mean, you can see where this is support or resistance, resistance, support, 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 and it's probably support again, especially in the environment that we're sitting in with Ethereum. So yeah, I would argue that that's probably all right. Again, Bitcoin's bouncing at 115, 613. We were down in the 114s this morning. Tesla bounce imminent? I think so. It's down 0.41% in pre-market. I probably have to close. I need to sell some of that actually to bond out my nephew. But yeah, out of my long-term account, not my IRA. Both ETH and BTC bouncing a bit. Yeah, everything seems to be getting a little bit of a bounce, and I like that. You can't hate that at all. All right, let's look over here, see if we got anything else. I might call it in a bit. Again, market opens at 8:30. I just wanted to reflect how small the Bitcoin market is compared to gold, collectibles, equities, real estate, bonds, and money itself. And it can take from all these vessels and will. It'll take from all these vessels. So it can get a lot bigger than it is right now. I'm going to rotate 1 second here. Sorry, my nuts are a little frustrated. All right, there we go. I'm back. But yeah, so all these vessels can get smaller as Bitcoin gets bigger, and I think that is the most likely scenario. Fuck XRP, fuck that shit. Anyway, all right, so I think that's it for that. Let me see if there's anything else. I'll talk Tesla for a second. If you guys have any other questions, let me know. So with Tesla, I just said, hey, I think we're getting ready to break out. Somebody said, do you see Tesla breaking out in the coming months? And I said, yes, I do. The price action is near where it was almost 6 years ago, back in January of 2021, when we were just a hair under 300. But the fundamentals of the company have become a lot better and went through a lot more over that time. I said, just be warned that it might not be a rocket ship out of the gate, but more of a slow climb as the robotaxi takes off across the country and people realize just how transformational Tesla's technology is. There was a comment to this where somebody said, oh, yeah, no, it's going to be cool, man. Once they can prove out FSD and that it works, then that's going to be a big day. And I'm like, motherfucker, I watch YouTube videos and click a fucking button and press it. And I literally say, like, go here or select a favorite. And then I press a fucking button and my car does all the work while I watch YouTube videos and learn more about what's going on around the world around me. It's here right now. And so it does not have to be proven. It's here. And so I believe strongly that by 2027, we will see $1,500 Tesla. And yes, I know that's 400% almost higher than it is right now. And it sounds like a crazy statement, but I didn't say it was at the beginning. I just said by 2027, at some point in it. Maybe by is the wrong word, but at some point in 2027, I think that that's what we're going to see. And I'm excited about that. I think that's great. I think this thing can hit 2,500 to 3,000. Ooh, 1 second, guys. This might be important. 1 second. Sorry, that was a dental appointment. Not my nephew. I was worried it was about my nephew, so I apologize. But yeah, after Elon gets his comp, and again, this is like, there are phases to this. One could argue phase 2 and 3 were pretty similar, but I'll argue that phase 1, the big breakout, was the Tesla Model S delivery. The stock shot up a bunch. People realized the S was a real car and that it was going to sell well, and the stock benefited 1,840% gains after a long consolidation. Phase 2 was the first X delivery, and again there's some difficulty with it. I should say you could see it over here, and then it was the 3, but there was a little bit of a pump, and I think we were getting ready to do a parabolic run, but then they had to start building 3s and 10s, and I think that really fucked up phase 3 and capped it at 174%. But then we had Tesla Model Y deliveries. We had the excitement of that, people realizing that they were doing a better job with it, and that it wasn't going to be the Model 3 issues of before. And then that just took off to the moon, and we got this just absolutely insane 3,200% increase in the price. But it is consolidated for 6 years in this range. Or not 6, what is it? 5 years almost within this range. 4.5, sorry, final answer. In this range. And it's time for it to take off right now. And if you look at phase 2 and phase 3, it's about the same amount of time, just maybe a little bit longer right now, or getting close to it. So I think we're taking off. I think what CERN Basher has a price target of 8,200 by 2032. Yeah, that seems reasonable. I mean, I'm saying 3,000 by 2030, and I'm trying to be conservative. But I do think, especially towards the latter part of this decade, that we're going to see really crazy numbers. Especially with the robotaxi. I mean, not just the robotaxi and transforming all of transportation, but really Optimus and changing all of human labor. It's going to be nuts. Plus just AI in general with Grok. It's going to be nuts. All right, looking at this chart, 2 main moves seem to be coupled with the X and S and the Y. So for it to take off would need the next great product. The next great product is every one of these cars bringing in sick margins all across every metro of the United States. That starts this year. By the end of this year, over 50% of metros will have autonomous vehicles driving around them that cost a fraction of what the Waymos cost, that have greater coverage, and that do a better job because they're not retarded and they have eyes and a fucking brain. So that's the next great product, and that's here now. And that will be more clear heading into next year. And then we're going to have an awesome Q3 because, again, everybody that wanted the incentives had to jump in. Q4 could be a little rough, but Q3 is going to be sick. So there's a reason to break out right here just based on that. And then you have, again, these companies taking over in energy. They've got Optimus coming out and more stuff happening. People are going to get excited. They're going to start showing videos of these things doing real things and real businesses, and people are going to start to see it scale. And 2027 is going to be fucking sick, I think. 2026 into 2027 is going to be a lot different of a Tesla than people are used to. And that's good. And so for now, though, I want to say this. So they're doing good deals, and it sounds like they're probably going to do this with a Cybertruck too, which I think would help sales a lot, and it needs it. Because it got so much backlash because it just became the vehicle that people hated because they hated Elon Musk. So they need to incentivize. But when they do, more and more people are going to buy them. But the S and the X are the ultimate Teslas, it says, and come with everything. So they need to do this with the Cybertruck, but this is great. Now included FSD supervised. So how much extra work is that for them? Nothing. Now they're not getting paid an extra premium on the car, but they're still making money on it. And they're giving something away for free that probably has minimal cost in regard to AI compute time and just inference and what they're doing locally. So it's just not a lot of work, right? And then you've got 4 years of premium service, which is great because you get like the high-speed internet and stuff from the car. Supercharging, which is fucking awesome. And again, I don't know why it puts premium connectivity. I think that's premium service in one, and then premium connectivity, which is the internet part. These are great deals. The wonderful thing about this is it might hurt margins at the top end, but at the same time, it doesn't really cost them much of anything to do this. Supercharging, you're going to have more overhead. But again, they're starting to do solar, especially across like the South and the West. They're doing smart things. I think Tesla is sitting really good. I think they're going to weather this storm better than every other car manufacturer, and they're going to demand an even higher premium as people realize that autonomy is here and that robotics is coming. How large will the network be by the end of the year, and what kind of growth rate is this? So Peggy said, he retweeted this post from Elon Musk that said, the Tesla robotaxi service is already larger than any competitor in Austin and the Bay Area. So they're covering a greater area. Again, this other company has to do HD mapping, and their car doesn't have a brain, and they have to have people remote in all the time. It's just garbage. Whereas Tesla just works right now. And I know that because I literally plug in a fucking address and drive my car around watching YouTube videos. And I kick my feet up and I barely fucking pay attention to what's going on. Don't tell Tesla. I mean, I mostly do. I'm looking, right? But I'm not using a lot of compute power. I'm able to focus that on other stuff while still being safe and looking for weird objects floating in front of me. Because the car does a really great job too. It will beep. It will flash red signals. It will let you know if it feels like you're not paying enough attention. It doesn't hassle you the way it used to, but it literally will just work all the time. And so if it works all the time, I know this robotaxi network is better than Waymo because I know Waymo does a lot more remoting in, and I know Waymos hit shit all the time because they don't have eyes or a real fucking brain. So this is a no-brainer. No pun intended. Tesla's great. And again, just our measured move gets us up near the 600 range, which is exciting. And I think coming, and I think after we bottom here, which we can see right now, if we just look over at Tesla and look at where we are, zoom in quite a bit more. Let me see here, just a little bit more like this. We can see that we're just simply doing a back test. And we've got the 200 daily moving average sitting underneath of us. And then right under that, we have the 50 moving average. And then right under that, we have peak volume going back for the last several years. So, and then right under that, there's the 100 moving average. So it's like there's a lot of stuff looking to provide support here. And I think that it's going to easily do that. I wish I didn't fucking have to sell it, but I don't want my nephew to sit in jail. So, would you buy Tesla Leaps or stock? I'm just doing stock. I've told people I'm not looking to leverage up anymore heading into the end of the year. I want to de-lever from everything, and I want to hop into things like Tesla, ARGT, and other areas where I think they can do well, maybe other small caps that could do really well, that have not benefited as much now, but will with lower rates coming, because I think those are guaranteed. And so I want to deleverage, and I want to move into things that I think are going to go up in the future. It's a great way to delever, delever from the thing where you've made a bunch of money, and then slowly transition into the thing that you think is going to make you a bunch of money in the future in the next several years. That's a great way to work. Anyway, I think I might stop here. I think I'm going to stop here. I think this is good for today. It's 8:17. Jesse, can you please take a look at Archie? Yeah, let's look. It has actually been bouncing all right. It had that flush out. It's had a long consolidation. But if you look, guys, if you pull up the business cycle, or the investment cycle visual chart. It's got to be something like that, right? Let me see here. Images. What is it called? Is it the market cycle chart? Do you guys remember what the actual name is? Because I must not have the keywords. Oh, wait, I found it. Oh, right here. Okay, here's a version of it. Oh, there's a good one. Here's a good one. Let me find it. Right here, right? Right here. So look at this chart. Here's what we're going to do. Look at this chart. Look at Archie. Look at this chart. Look at Archie. And here's what I would argue. I'm going to take the visible range volume profile because I want to show you kind of where I think we are on this. So if I go like this, right? And then zoom out. And this is a large time frame. So let's look here and then let's go back over. So I would argue that we're in the state of depression and that we're coming back up into disbelief here and starting to get near hope. I think we're heading towards this hope path. So this is where I think ARCG is, and I think it's went through this. And if we just go over here, I mean, fuck, is that not perfectly what I'm talking about? And then you have that final flush out, that wick off type event where it's the final end. We just had that, right? Like you have this trend, you broke under the trend, and now you're coming back up. And I think depression's going to be short, and I think it's heading into disbelief. And again, if you just look over here at what that looks like, I think that's what we're going to do. And so I want to get leaps that go further out. So far, I think January 2027 is my farthest out, but I want to get stuff like that because I like the way this chart looks. Look at this. This, like, again, it got hit over here. It went under peak volumes, but it's back above it again, looking strong and wanting to go higher. I think that can get us up to the 30, 31 range pretty easily. We break through this fib right here. This is perfect. Like, this is what you want to see, guys. I talk about this. It's called confluence, right? I'm going to move this over for a second. But the fact that we're getting up here, and let's say in the next month, maybe we're over here, or the next 2 months we're over here, this is where you're most likely to break upward whenever you have these confluences of resistance lines and like different support related levels. And so this would be the time a couple months from now for us to try and break out higher, and then again get up into the 30 range, and then maybe even get by the beginning of this next year or early part of next year to the 37 range. And so I've got calls that could actually benefit from this, especially the further out ones. But if for some reason we get a crazy leap and people get really risk on near the end of this year, I've got stuff like, let's see, this is December. I've got stuff for December that if we hit this range where the golden retracement zone is, which I think we could do maybe by that time, or at least by the early next year, I can make a lot of money off of that. And again, we're starting this over here, guys. We're starting this upward trend. That could explode all the way up here eventually in 2027 in the 100s, like 170 range or something. That could be reality. And this is an option that I'm interested in. So again, as far as long-term leaps, I like this. I like this one a lot. Still, it has not treated me well so far. All I've done is lose money on it because I was too early. I was over here. And as you can see, 2024 into 2025, it's just too early. But now it looks like we're finally having that time to go up. And that's exciting to me. So, yeah, I'm holding on to that. I'm holding on to that. And again, we're trying to draw on this, guys, by what we believe is like a cup, and then what we believe is the handle, and then the measured move for it, which, again, I kind of neutered here because I looked at the 50 coming down here on the monthly time frame, and then also this peak volume over here. So I kind of capped it out right there. I've been in some January 2027 40 leaps. Those are really beautiful leaps. I mean, I think they still are. I haven't looked in a while. But 2027 is still a ways off. That's almost a year and a half. And at the same time, what do you do? A 40 strike? I mean, $40 fucking dollars. Like, that's, you're not even saying that this thing is going up 100% in a year and a half. And you can see how violent this thing can be if we turn risk on. There was 2375, right? And then that was on March 2nd of 2020. And again, so that was kind of a washout, I would say, in the broader markets because of the pandemic. But again, this one, even if you don't even look at that, if you just draw this line up substantially higher, it's still a good looking line. Even if you just draw it right from here, like at the 35 range, you're still looking at a 230% increase from March 2020 to 2021. So that's a huge number. And I'm only looking for 160%. Over a course of the next, 5, or I should say like 3 months to a year and a half. And the next stuff, I think I even have June 2027s. I don't know. I don't know if I went that far. I got to check. But yeah, I like it. I think that's it though, guys. I think I'm done. With this in mind, can you look at next time? If you remind me next time, Borgusio, we can look at SEDG. My balls are still in rough shape. Otherwise, I'd be doing more of that because I do want to find newer plays. I totally want to do that. It's just a matter of managing the nuts. So, but yeah, this is exciting. We got good things coming, guys. Don't get disheartened if it's down a little bit today. Have a bigger picture. Look out, forward looking. And you'll realize that life is going to get real good in the future. I've given you a ton of reasons to be optimistic. Do not forget them or go back and watch the video if you fucking need it, okay? All right, I love you guys. Peace out. Stay out of trouble. And let's do this